In the Battle of the Bidassoa on 7 October 1813, the Allied army of Arthur Wellesley, Marquess of Wellington, wrested a foothold on French soil from Nicolas Soult's French army. The Allied troops overran the French lines behind the Bidassoa River on the coast and along the Pyrenees crests between the Bidassoa and La Rune. The nearest towns to the fighting were Irun on the lower Bidassoa and Beira on the middle Bidassoa. The battle occurred during the Peninsular War, part of the wider Napoleonic Wars. Wellington aimed his main assault at the lower Bidassoa, while sending additional troops to attack Soult's center, believing his coastal sector secure. Soult held the right flank with a relatively weak force while concentrating most of his strength on his left flank in the mountains. However, the British general obtained local intelligence that indicated that water levels on the lower river were much lower than the French suspected. After careful planning, Wellington launched a surprise assault which easily overran the French left flank defences. In the center, his army also won through the French defences, though his Spanish allies were repulsed in one attack. Some French generals were shocked at how poorly their soldiers fought. Background: operations in the Battle of San Marcial on 31 August and 1 September 1813. Soult's army was repelled in its final bid to advance into Spain. After a costly assault followed by a brutal sack of the city, the Allies also brought the siege of San Sebastian to a successful conclusion in early September. A French garrison held out in the siege of Pamplona, which would end in a surrender on October 31. Wellington determined to create a bridgehead across the Bidassoa River. If successful, his army would be the first Allied army to establish itself on French soil. The British commander also wanted to capture French positions that overlooked the Allied lines on the west side of the Bidassoa. Preparations because the French troops had begun to plunder their fellow citizens. Emperor Napoleon's Minister of War, Henry Clark, ordered Marshal Soult to defend a position as close to the frontier as possible. He had to hold a 48 km front in the Pyrenees Mountains. The area was highly defensible, but lateral communications were poor. Deciding that the coastal sector was the strongest part of his line, Soult posted General of Division Honoré Charles Ray and 10,550 men to defend that sector. Real's command included General of Division Antoine-Louis Popon de Marcoune's 3,996-strong 7th Division and General of Division Pierre-François Joseph Boyer's 6,515-strong 9th Division. Marcoune held the lower Bidassoa on the Bay of Biscay, while Boyer defended the stream farther inland. Behind them was the entrenched camp of Bourdagen and the port of Saint-Jean-de-Luz. General of Division Eugene Casimir Villet's 8,018-man reserve division held this area. General of Division Bertrand Clausel held the center with 15,300 men in the divisions. Generals of Division Nicolas François Conroux, Jean-Pierre Marencin, and Éloy Charlemagne Taupin. On the right, near the Bidassoa, stood the La Bayonet redoubt. Mont La Rune rose in the center of Clausel's sector. His left touched the Nivelle River near Ainhoa. Conroux' 4th Division numbered 4,962 men. Marancin's 5th Division counted 5,575 troops. Taupin's 8th Division had 4,778 soldiers and held the area just north of Beira. Soult's gunners, sappers, and other troops added up to 2,000 and his total forces numbered 55,088 effectives. His cavalry was stationed in the Nive Valley. Fearing an Allied thrust over the Maya Pass and down the Nivelle River to the sea, Soult gave General of Division Jean-Baptiste Drouet, Comte d'Erlon 19,200 men to hold his left flank. d'Erlon's corps included the divisions of Generals of Division Maximilien Sébastien Foy, Jean-Barthélemy d'Armagnac, Louis-Jean-Nicolas Abbé, and Augustin d'Aricourt. These troops held a line from Ainhoa to the mountain fortress of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, covering the Maya and Roncesvalles passes. D'Arrico's 4,092-man 6th Division was deployed between Eindhoven and Serre. Abe's 6,051-strong 3rd Division was west of Eindhoven. D'Armagnac's 4,447-man 2nd Division held Eindhoven. Fo's 4,654-strong 1st Division held the fortress at the extreme left flank. Wellington had 64,000 Anglo-Portuguese infantry and artillery, plus 25,000 Spaniards. Since cavalry was of little use in the mountains, the British commander sent most of his horse regiments to the rear, keeping a few light dragoons for patrolling. In order to gain his bridgehead, Wellington had to force a crossing of the Bidassoa estuary. The river was 910 meters wide and 6 meters deep at the high water mark below the Ile de la Conference. The French never suspected that there was only 1.2 meters of water over the lower fords at certain low tides, a fact that the Allies gleaned from Basque fishermen. Allied intelligence knew that the next low tide was the 7th of October. The crossing was meticulously planned. Near the lower fords, British engineers built a turf wall near the river. This would shelter Major General Andrew Hayes' 5th Division during the time before it crossed the river. Wellington positioned 5 field batteries and 3 18 PDR siege cannon to provide fire support to the attacking infantry. Battle. Allied Army. Arthur Wellesley, Marquis of Wellington. Bidassoa. At 7:25 a.m. the 5th Division launched its attack from near Hondrebeer. It came as a complete surprise to the French, who had deployed only Mokoon's 4,000 men to defend 6 km of river. Immediately, Hayes' men gained a foothold at the village of Henday and swung 2 brigades to the right to assist the crossing of M.G. Kenneth Howard's 1st Division. At 8 a.m., Howard's men, M.G. Thomas Bradford's Independent Portuguese Brigade and M.G. Lord Aylmer's Independent British Brigade forded the river near a destroyed bridge at Behobe. 3 Spanish brigades from L.G. Manuel Frey's 2 divisions crossed farther to the right. Rapidly, the British overran the Quai des Bouquets position and the Spanish captured Montcalver at 43 degrees 20 minutes 16 seconds north, 1 degree 43 minutes 7 seconds west, 43.33778 degrees north, 1.71861 degrees west. 43.33778, minus 1.71861. The entire ridge on the French side of the river fell into Allied hands at the cost of only 400 casualties. With the high ground in his possession, Wellington suspended the attack. That morning Soult was absorbed in watching Henry Clinton's 6th Division advancing from the Maya Pass. The division's Portuguese brigade boldly seized the Erdax ironworks, losing 150 men in the combat. Soult suddenly realized the operation was only a demonstration. He rode off to his coastal sector, but he was too late to help Ray. Laroon. The toughest fighting of the day occurred in Clausel's sector. Lieutenant Colonel John Colborne's brigade of Charles Alton's Light Division attacked La Bayonnette at 43 degrees 18 minutes 35 seconds north, 1 degree 42 minutes 12 seconds west, 43.30972 degrees north, 1.70333 degrees west. 43.30972, minus 1.70333. The French charged downhill and drove back the green-jacketed skirmishers of the 95th Rifles Foot. Suddenly the 152nd Regiment of Foot appeared out of the trees and quickly turned the tables. Following closely behind the retreating French, the redcoats of the 52nd overran the redoubt with surprising ease. Meanwhile, M.G. James Kemp's other Light Division Brigade and Brigadier General Francisco de Longa's Spanish Division attacked up 2 spurs of Laroon to secure some positions. To their right, Lieutenant General Pedro de Rones' 2 Andalusian divisions attacked the summit of Laroon. Though the Spanish attacked repeatedly, they were defeated. However, the next day the French abandoned the position to avoid encirclement. Results. In Reel's sector, the French lost 390 killed and wounded, plus 60 men and 8 cannons captured. In Clausel's sector, the French suffered 600 killed and wounded, plus 598 men and 9 cannons captured. The British lost 82 killed, 486 wounded, and 5 missing, or a total of 573. The Portuguese lost 48 killed, 186 wounded, and 8 missing, or a total of 242. The Spanish suffered the balance of the 1,600 total Allied casualties. The defeat lowered morale in Soult's army. Except at La Rune, French troops did not obstinately defend their positions. Villeta commented, "With troops like these we can expect only disgrace." Soult made Mokoum the scapegoat, dismissed him from his division, and sent him to the rear. After the battle, some of the Allied troops indulged themselves in the looting of French homes and towns. Wellington came down harshly on British troops caught plundering. He felt sympathetic to the Spanish, who had seen their nation ravaged by French soldiers, but he determined to tolerate no looting for fear of provoking a guerrilla war. During the follow-up to this victory, Spanish troops seized the Saint Barbara Redoubt at 43 degrees 18 minutes 1 second north, 1 degree 34 minutes 55 seconds west, 43.30028 degrees north, 1.58194 degrees west, 43.30028, minus 1.58194, 1.4 kilometers south of the village of Serre. On the 12th of October, Conrauch's division recaptured the fort from its garrison of La Torres division and drove off a 5-battalion Spanish counterattack. French casualties are estimated at 300, while the Spanish lost 300 killed and wounded, plus 200 captured. The next engagement was the Battle of Nivelle on the 10th of November 1813. Postscript. An inaptly named Lieutenant Gentle Vickers of the 3rd Battalion of the 95th Regiment was severely wounded in this action. He survived to take part with 2 companies of the 395th and Colborne's 52nd Regiment in the famous assault on the flanks of the advancing Imperial Guard that triggered the final rout at Waterloo.